This project is so easy, a child can do it.
Hey ho! I'm Rachel, this is Missy, and we're Miss Daisy Sewing, and today we're doing a little bit of a book review. I've got here the Stitch 50 Pokémon by Alison Reid, and my plan is to revisit a previous project, which was these Evolution Scarves. You can sort of see from the picture that the different evolution was made in felt, sort of stacked in layers to create an almost sort of silhouette. And these are obviously also felt. Hello. These are obviously also felt. So I wanted to do a slightly more complicated looking design, but the same principle. The plan is going to be to make the scarves and then apply just a front layer rather than making a 3D little felty, just sort of doing the front one. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Oh, big shake, big shake. So I'm going to make a couple of these because these are going to be Christmas gifts. The one we're going to start with is going to be Gengar here. So if we have a wee look at the book, it's a really nicely put together book explaining the different sort of materials and techniques you're going to need. And if we just skip along to Gengar, I really should have noted the page number for him. There he is. So here's our Gengar. And what's really nice is that it gives us our different shapes. He's quite a simple one, which we like. So it gives us our different shapes and then a rough sort of assembly guide here for what we want to do. As I said in the introduction, I'm not going to be stuffing these and making them 3D. It will just be a flat 1D front. So literally just what you see in the picture here is the plan. But first of all, we're going to have to get on making the scarf. So to assemble the scarf, I have here the Prim Maxi sort of hand knitting machine. We fondly call it the crank at home because she's noisy. She's also a little bit of a cantankerous old lady. I picked this up in Aldi or Lidl, the middle aisle special, years ago, like before we moved into this house, so more than 12 years ago. So I've had this thing a long time now. There are more modern ones that do counts for you on the market now, and they're really handy to have if you want to make tubes, scarves basically, very quickly and very easily. For a basic scarf, I usually go with about 100 grams of the main colour. In this case, it's black for our Gengar. And then I've just grabbed a little 50-gram ball of a fun contrasting colour for some stripes and the fringe. So let's get it started. It's really easy to start off. We just slowly turn our handle and we're aiming for alternate hooks. This one, the first stitch, is a different colour, which makes life a little bit easier. So we're back at the start and I'm just going to loosen off a little bit of this. We now just turn the handle like so, and that's our first row done. So we're going to do 5 rows. There's something about cantankerous. I've just clocked that she's dropped a stitch already. So what we're going to do is just very quickly pick up our stitches. Like so. And 5. So we're back again to our purple stitch, our purple stitch marker. So for the contrasting stripes, I'm going to use this purple. So we're going to neatly tuck the black out of the way in the middle here. I'm going to tie on our contrasting colour, like so. If you're going to be doing a big stripe, I would also cut the main colour. But we're only going to do 3 rows so it can carry up. 1, 2, 3. No. 3. So what I'm now going to do is put the contrasting one in the middle. Take this one out. And I want, if I can get this out of the way, it might be hard to see, but I am crossing over the threads. So it's not going to make a knot, but it is sort of tying it neatly up. So we're going to do 2 black. And we're going to go back to that purple. So pull the purple out. And put the black in. And again, no, don't catch. Crossing over. And now 2 of the black. So back over we go. Swapping them around again. This is going to be our last purple stripe. And then we're going to tie off the contrasting colour. You want it not to be nice and strong because we don't want this to unloop at any point because it'll just cause it to unravel in the future. So that's me got the scarf done. So it's a decent wee length. And what we do now is we're just gonna pop the thread in the middle there, very gently. Turn this round to pop off the hooks. It's a bit hard to see with it being black, but we now have live stitches on the top here that I'm going to pick up with my knit needles and then cast off.
DPNs are your best friend here. I've picked up stitches along both sides of the scarf and then casted off to create a nice seam, and I repeated this on the other end as well. And then it was putting on the fringe. I used the same contrasting colour as I did for the stripes, and I simply just wrap it around a 30cm ruler to get everything a nice consistent length. With a combination of the crochet hook and a latch knot, I neatly got the fringe in, and I used the cast off loops to get everything nice and consistent and neat. As mentioned earlier, this is a project that kids can do. My niece and nephew had a play with these, so thankfully I already had the templates cut out for my Gengar, and I just simply traced around those onto the right colours of felt. I then realised that my Gengar was not going to show up on the black of the scarf, so used a grey contrasting felt to glue everything down onto. To give that last pop and some definition, I used some puffy paint to give the black outlines and that slightly more animated cartoon feel. Jigglypuff was great fun to do. I went with a purple wool and a pink contrasting colour, and for the fringe I actually raided my stash and found loads of different shades of pink and some lilac, just to give a little bit more colour and a little bit more fun in that fringe. I traced out the pattern pieces for Jigglypuff and then got on to cutting out the felt pieces. All of the shapes are fairly simple for her, and that made it a really nice little one to work on. Then it was the assembly, gluing it all together before getting those outlines done, which really made it pop actually, and I'm really pleased with how this one came together. Bulbasaur is totally a Pokemon that is in touch with his feminine side, and you can't tell me any different. I thought this pink was a perfect contrasting colour to go with him, and here you can see me in a little bit more detail doing that cast off before I added a contrasting green fringe. I did not appreciate how many pattern pieces there were going to be to Bulbasaur, because there's a lot, and then it feels like there's even more to cut when it came to the felt. I couldn't get perfect colours for him, but I was happy with what I managed. He really came into his own during the assembly, and actually I was really pleased once those black lines came on just how well he came together. because I did have my doubts originally. And last but not least, Dragonite, and what better colours for him than this beautiful orangey gold and blue. I knew Dragonite was going to be the most complicated Pokemon, but I was still unprepared for the number of parts to this one. I ended up going back and adding in some of the pieces I'd originally decided not to do, like the head, just to help balance out those sort of 3D elements from the stacking of the felt. It was because of the weird eyebrow things that Dragonite has that I ended up giving them backgrounds, because it really needed to contrast and I wanted to make them a bit more secure. But overall I was really pleased with this one, especially once those black lines went on. So everything's come together really nicely. I've got my Pokemon, so we've got Bulbasaur, Dragonite, Gengar, and Jigglypuff. I decided to do her eyes in the end, just to make them pop a little bit more. And the scarves. So Gengar, Jigglypuff, Dragonite, and Bulbasaur. And the next and last step is going to be putting on the little Pokemon onto the side without the stripes. So Bulbasaur will go on that side, probably about there actually. That's a better colour match than I realised. So they're going to go on here, and I'm just going to glue them on again. I've done this before with these sort of scarves and it will hold up in the wash, the hot glue. The wool is obviously really grippy with the glue, so they'll hold on just fine. So that's the next part, and then these are done. I always find it fascinating how people pick their favourite Pokemon. Some, like Bulbasaur, are because it's the one that was their first Pokemon. And then others, it's because they think it looks cool, like Dragonite, or cute, like Jigglypuff. I'm Team Gengar when it comes to Ghost-type Pokemon, because he's so cheeky and fun. Although I'm an Electric-type girl, and it's Raichu and Jolteon and Zapdos who are all my favourites. Tell me below who your favourite Pokemon are. I'd love to know, and especially why, if there is a reason. And that brings us to the end of this project. I adore how these scarves came out. I think the colours are fantastic. I love the contrast in each of them, and I adore the pop art feel that puff paint has given each of the Pokemon. It really ties into that sort of animated look that I was going for. I can confirm that these are really snuggly. The wool I picked is super soft and the length is just perfect to wrap around the neck and also tuck into your coat to keep the chill out on a winter's day. On that note, let's go catch a Glaceon in this icy weather. Until next time, bye!